Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Carl and today I'm going to talk to you about employment. So with employment, how if you feel that you are the managers aren't listening to you. So the first steps that you do is to talk to all the managers, and if anything, give it a few days. If they not got back to you, then start to write emails to them, so that you've formalized it, and you try to deal with things more internally before you go through the grievance procedures. With the grievance procedures, it does take a lot of time and resources for the employer to do. Also, like, it takes them a long time to do investigations. Some employers do not carry out a full investigation to your grievance, and what I find with employers, they do not take your grievance seriously, although they say in the meeting we do take your grievances seriously. But most of the time you feel as you go throughout that when they come back to you with the outcome and they sit with you, they say we're not going to uphold it, and you feel that is a very unjustified, and if not a justified reasons why they've not upheld it, it's very vague. Even when you go through the appeal process, that they'll still not uphold it. And I've seen one of my work colleagues who was dismissed from her role. She went through the grievance processes. They did not carry out the talk to the witnesses. They did not contact the witnesses. When they then the second, because her trade union rep said, "Why haven't you carried out the witness, talked to the witnesses, and done the thorough investigation?" Then they contacted the witnesses, and what I found when they was doing the talking to witnesses, the minutes that it was taking, they did not do adequate minutes, accurate minutes, and it's just really that they just couldn't be asked to do it. And also they've not really justified the reasons why they didn't do the witnesses. And also with the witnesses, they subject them to find a reason to dismiss them from their role because of that they have justified what they have heard, what they saw, and they say, "Oh, that's a separate issue," or "This is a separate issue," but it's all integrated to the situation, so that no one wants to take accountability for our own actions with management. It's really difficult to do grievances. And it's very difficult to have a successful grievance, especially when it becomes down to harassment, discrimination, sexual harassment, or loads of various different things. With wages, they will uphold the wages, and they will pay the wages back. But anything discrimination, they will not uphold, because because they will not take accountability. What I find is that makes the employer more guilty, and they've not really thought of investigating and like put things in measures in place preventing these sort of things happening, and then early intervention, which the employee goes to them and say, look, these concerns need to be addressed because these are serious concerns, and they do not take them seriously, so they wash it down. They do not give a valid reason. They do not have the facts to back it up. They always also with they'll find ways of terminating your employment if you raise concerns or any issues. They feel that you're a nuisance, so they'll try to say, oh, your performance is poor, you're not suited for the company. They'll say these sort of things. It's very intimidating, and then it's not very supportive. A good employer, a good management will support their staff, what they're going through, and treat everyone as individuals, not just a number toss out and they get a fresh lot of staff in, which I've seen happen in so many different employments. They have a high turnover of staff, and because they don't treat the staff well, and then there's certain members of staff that don't take litigation, so legal proceedings against the employer, because they find it stressful and time consuming. But on the other hand, if they feel that they want their job back, they can go down that route to get the job back, and then hopefully the employer will change their mind and look at what consequences they have done. And they just don't have a valid reason most of the time, and they start to cover things up more and more. Yeah, so they try to withhold information from you. But on the main facts that your case is, depending on what it is, if you feel that you've been victimized by individuals or a manager or a work colleague, what I find is that the work colleague is friends with the managers, and then they get protected more than you do because you're putting a complaint against a friend, and that's not how policies work in employment. What I find is with managers, they adjust the policies to what they deemed is right. So they flip it around to make you look like the bad one, and then they kick you out of the employment, which is not fair, and it's happening every day to so many individuals that have brought so much to the employer over the years, and then they get kicked out. And they don't like people to be open and speak freely. You cannot speak freely and be your own individual. And with managers, they don't know how to deal with these situations because they've either not come across it or they don't know how to deal with the situation. So they start threatening you, and it becomes a hostile working environment, which they don't realise. What I'd say is with the grievance procedures is to make sure it's very short, concise, with dates and times. And then you have a written documentation of the days that has happened. So you have the grievance is a very short statement of your complaint, and then you have another document which outlines what happened. So it's good to separate the documents and keep them separate. What I used to, what I did, I put it all onto one document, and then they look through it, like a 10-page document. They're like, wow, this is too much, and then they just think, well, this person's just bringing loads of complaints in and being a nuisance, and this thing, well, yeah, and then then it's wasting your time. But once you go through the grievance process and you've exhausted all the policies, the grievance policies, then you can put a formal grievance against the employer, and then go through the appeal process as well, which strengthens your case if you did want to go to employment tribunal. So it's just more making sure you have everything in place, so you have solid evidence of what they have done. So then you build a case more better and better and better. So I'd say make sure you have everything in order, and and then you go to ACAS, then you put a claim to ACAS for early consolidation, which is 6 weeks. So then you're free, that the act that happened freeze from that time, and then it will, after 6 weeks, then the clock starts ticking again. So then that's where you submit your claim to the employment tribunal. So during that 6 weeks, you'll have enough time to prep your case, your claim. So you outline a brief outline of your claim, and then you have another document which you can attach, which lists more in detail about your claim. So you just give a summary on the first page, and then the second page you'll have that. Once you go through that process, after that the other side will get an ET3. They'll be the respondent, you're the claimant. They'll have to defend that claim that you put towards them. Most employers, they will do a cost warning. I'd say depends on the situation. If you feel that you're threatened by that, and you can't go through that stress, then sometimes you might want to withdraw your claim. But if you feel very strongly that you can go through that process, ignore the cost warnings, because that they try and pull you out of putting a claim against them. You do have the right to put a claim to employers that have done wrong. So you should not be bullied by their solicitor or bullied by the other side. Try and put cost warnings awards against you. Most likely the employment tribunal they do not really look at putting cost warnings against a claimant. It's very rare for an employment judge to do that unless it's been very despiteful, or you've lied in your claim, or you've done severe misconduct in your claim. That's where the judge will look at it on those merits. But if you believe that your claim is very solid and you believe in your claim, then go all the way. But if you got insurance, so if, say for example, you're a swim teacher and you have insurance, which will give you free legal advice, medical, and loads of other stuff in it, then you contact the legal advice, and then they'll direct you to the insurer, or if you've got insurance policy, read up the insurance policy, what it covers, and then from there, what you do, you put a claim to the claims team, and then they'll get a solicitor to do prospects of success. So it has to be 50 to 51% prospects of success, and then they'll insure you for that. So the first one, the insurer will pay $500 for it to be prospects of success to the solicitor, and analyse how much the claim will be worth. And then once the solicitor goes back to the insurer, the insurer will insure you for, say, $10,000 or $13,000 for that. So then you'll be insured, or you'll be fully insured for that whole entire claim. So most likely your solicitor will try and settle before it goes to tribunal, which is, it saves on costs for the tribunal, and it saves costs on both sides. But most likely some employers are very stubborn and they just take it all the way. So it depends on your situation. But yeah, if it's settled out of court, then you'll have a cut-through agreement. So basically both sides agreed to settlement this and agreed to these terms. So it could be anything, like the other side cannot refuse a reference, and they give you a good reference, or that they can give you really good references as well. It depends on the situation. Some employers say no, we won't give you a reference, but then you can add in a clause, well, you cannot say anything bad about the claimant, or and you cannot say anything bad about the respondent, and that lasts. So yeah, it depends on your situation. So yeah, if you've got any questions, I'd like to hear your thoughts, so comment down below. If you've been through a similar situation, I'd like to get your thoughts. And I'd like to reply to you. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.